Millionaire takes homeless boy to a barber, then calls the police after what he finds in his hair the scent of stale grease and engine oil hung thick in the air as Zahir sat curled up behind a dumpster near the city square. His thin arms clutched a crust of a sandwich, the last scrap of food he had found. He hadn't eaten properly in days. His oversized shirt clung to his rib cage, and his hair, thick and tangled, draped over his eyes like a curtain. People passed by. Some glanced, most didn't. Then she appeared. She didn't belong on this street. A tall, blonde woman in a flawless green designer dress and heels that had never touched grime. But there she stood, looking down at him. Victoria Langford, tech mogul, ruthless investor, one of the youngest female millionaires in the state, wasn't known for softness. She was known for breaking competitors in boardrooms. But something about the boy made her stop that he hadn't begged. He hadn't even looked up. "Hey," she said gently. Zahir flinched. She knelt, letting the dirty concrete soil her expensive dress. "What's your name?" "Zahir," he whispered. "Are you alone?" He nodded. Without hesitation, she removed her coat and wrapped it around his trembling shoulders. "You're coming with me." 10 minutes later, Ray's Cuts and Styles, the bell above the barbershop door jingled as they stepped in. The place was wedged between a pawn shop and a payday loan office. Raymond, the shop's owner, glanced up from behind the counter. Middle-aged with shoulder-length hair tucked behind his ears, he blinked in surprise. "Miss Langford? Didn't expect to see you down here." "I need a favor," Victoria said, guiding Zahir forward. "He needs a serious cleanup. I'll pay triple." Ray nodded, already moving. "Of course. Right this way, young man." Zahir followed without a word, dragging his feet. He sat in the worn leather chair. Ray draped the barber's cape over him while Victoria stepped outside to take a phone call. Ray began the usual routine: spraying water, applying shampoo, gently working through the mats and tangles. Then he froze. His fingers touched something hard under the boy's scalp. Frowning, Ray carefully parted the hair, revealing a small, inflamed bump. It had been crudely stitched with dark thread. Beneath the skin was a flat metal object, barely protruding but clearly unnatural. The stitches weren't medical. They looked rushed, possibly done without anesthesia. Ray swallowed. "Zahir, does this hurt?" The boy stiffened, silent for a moment, then whispered, "Sometimes it buzzes." Ray's hand trembled. He stepped back, reached for his phone, and dialed. 911, what's your emergency? "This is Raymond Matthews at Ray's Cuts on 9th. I've got a boy here. Someone stitched a tracker into his scalp. I think he's being hunted. Please hurry." Just as he hung up, the door slammed open. Victoria stormed in. "What happened?" Ray pointed to the boy, still frozen in the chair. "There's something in his head. Not a bump. A device. He didn't even know." Victoria rushed over. She gently swept back the boy's hair. Her breath caught. "What the hell?" she whispered. "Who did this to you?" Zahir's eyes met hers. Wide. Afraid. But not just afraid. Trusting. Victoria stood slowly, turned to Ray. "Did you call the police?" He nodded. "They're on their way." "Good. Because someone's going to answer for this." The barber shop. Minutes later, flashing lights painted streaks across the tile floor as two officers entered. Victoria didn't move from Zahir's side. "He has something implanted in his scalp," she said, voice steely. "I want a forensic team, a trauma specialist, and answers." The lead officer crouched near the boy. "Son, do you know who did this?" Zahir's lip trembled. He shook his head. Victoria knelt beside him. You don't have to remember everything right now, she said softly. But we will find out. I promise. That night, Children's Hospital, private wing under Victoria's name, Zahir was admitted to a secured wing of a local hospital. A surgeon removed the object embedded in his scalp, a micro-tracking chip, the kind used in underground trafficking networks. The stitches were crude, the wound infected. Worse, branding marks were found on his back. Someone had claimed him. Victoria stood by the window of his room, fists clenched. She recognized the brand. It belonged to a shadowy figure from her past, Jürgen Vantrell, a supposed logistics investor who once circled her startup. She had suspected shady dealings and pulled out, but she hadn't reported him. She didn't want the scandal. Now, a child had nearly died because of her silence. And oh, more. Victoria's response, she called in every favor she had. Private investigators, a top security firm, a trauma counselor who specialized in child victims of captivity. She showed up at the hospital daily, bringing food, speaking to doctors, never leaving Zahir alone. The surgeons warned her the boy might suffer long-term migraines, auditory issues, possibly PTSD. Victoria didn't flinch. What will it take to help him heal? She asked. They told her. She paid, without hesitation. 3 weeks later, the warehouse raid police stormed a warehouse at the city's edge. Inside, 8 children in cages, marked like Zahir. Some couldn't speak. One clutched a photo of Zahir. He had been the first to escape. They had been trying to get him back. Jürgen Vantrell was arrested in a downtown hotel, hiding under a fake name. His lawyers didn't argue. The evidence spoke volumes, national headlines, public outcry. Victoria Langford faced the cameras. I ignored a red flag once, she said firmly. That won't happen again. Money doesn't erase evil. It enables it. Not anymore. 7 months later, Ray's cuts against Zahir returned to the same chair. This time smiling, clean, dressed in white, his hair braided neatly. Ray wept openly and refused payment again. The scar beneath his braid remained faintly visible. He didn't hide it. He wore it like a badge point 2 weeks earlier. Victoria had officially adopted him. He now lived in a quiet home with a golden retriever named Solo, a telescope by the window, and, most of all, safety. Winter Gala charity fundraiser Zahir took the stage beside Victoria. He cleared his throat. The room fell silent. I used to think I was trash, he said, voice quiet but steady, that no one would care what happened to me. Then someone saw me. She didn't give me money. She gave me safety and name a home. He looked up at her, eyes glassy. Thank you for finding me before they did. The audience rose in a standing ovation. Victoria took his hand. She didn't speak. She didn't have to, because the boy she saved was saving her too.